Can the new iPhone 17 Pro camera hold up against the Sony FX3? As YouTubers, do we have to use professional cameras anymore, or can we just take out our phone and start recording? I'm going to make a cinematic product video for the iPhone using the FX3, and for the FX3 I'm going to use the iPhone. Compare the two, the pros and cons, and you can choose what you would use. But first, I've got to unbox this bad boy because I've had an iPhone 11 for 6 years. It's got cracks on it, the screen don't work very well, battery 70%. So we're going to say bye to that. Ooh. Hell yeah. There goes the first little strip. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, it's always good doing that. Damn, man, this is good. So I went for the orange color, but at first I was gonna go for the blue or the silver, and probably more the silver because everyone online is saying that these phones just scratch so easily. And then I kind of just fell in love with the orange, to be honest with you. And I was like, you know what? Whack a case on it. It ain't gonna matter anyway. Job's done. So I went for this one, and I think it actually looks really nice. This camera has been chosen by videographers for many years, and there's good reasons for it. The FX3 is a full frame cinema camera with a 12 megapixel sensor. You can shoot in 422 10-bit color, 4K, and up to 120 frames a second. This thing is a beast. Look at that. Look at that body. Oof. God damn. The iPhone 17 Pro features 3 cameras, an ultra wide, a wide, and a telephoto. It can shoot up to 4K at a maximum of 120 frames per second, which can be shot in ProRes, Dolby Vision, high dynamic range, which means you maintain the details and the colour for editing, which is exactly what we're going to use to test the 7 lenses that the iPhone 17 Pro claims to have. On the left we have the 17 Pro results, and on the right the FX3. I have matched the lenses to Apple's own description as well, and I also had to adjust the curves on the 17 Pro results a little to match the FX3. So what do you think? I think they look pretty damn close. I mean, you can see that there's more depth of field in the FX3 version, but they're both pretty good. I also haven't lit this very well. This is just a corner of the studio that I picked, so for this amount of lighting, they're both holding up tremendously. It's time for these two to go head to head in a cinematic battle, and to make things worse, my friend's coming to pick up his camera soon, so I've only got 3 to 4 hours to shoot everything, so let's go. I need a light, and I know just the thing. This is exactly what I need. Ooh. Zoom, zoom. Here we go. Woohoo. And now we get the tube light reflection going across the screen. Everything's going really well. The videos are looking insane. I figured out the lighting. Couldn't be going any better. Oh no. Please no. Oh my God. No! I can't believe I dropped my iPhone. I was risking it a little bit, but thankfully, it's absolutely fine. Woo! That's close shave. I haven't put a case on it yet because I wanted to film with it. Just got lucky, I think. Now my iPhone had been battered to pieces, it was time to move on to the FX3. Oh God, look at those fingerprints. Oh my God, we need to scrub those off. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Scrub! Oh my God, that's bright. It was all coming together. I just had to do the edit and some post-production work, and here is the final result. Right, after 4 or 5 hours, my friend's turned up for his camera. Come say hello, Will. Little Willy Willy. Can't introduce me quite well. So where are these cameras going tomorrow?
These cameras are going on the side mount.
And we probably don't want to be leaking any information. Moving on. Right, so did the iPhone hold up? I think they both did really well. I have to stress, the shooting conditions were very, very severe. Literally just one light, so we're really putting these devices to the test. And just to be clear, I was using Apple's camera app. To make it as fair as possible, what you get out of the box with the iPhone 17 Pro versus the FX3. And to have this kind of technology in your pocket is, to me, absolutely crazy. Flexibility you get, the professional level straight from this phone is, I think, is unmatched. Looking at the price point between the FX3 and the iPhone, it's less than half price. So if you're a content creator that you're just starting out or professional, this is definitely worth having in your pocket. The fact that you've got 3 lenses, it's easy, it's light, you don't have to worry about changing lenses, you don't have SD cards, none of that. Take it wherever you go. It's a great piece of kit. One of my favorite things moving from the iPhone 11 to the 17 Pro is the USB-C port. Oh my God, it just makes life so easy. I can shoot all the shots I need. I've got a 1 terabyte version, so I can shoot probably in log for about an hour, hour and a half. And then I just go to my computer, plug it straight in, offload the files, and I'm absolutely done. My phone's clean of the footage. I can now edit it straight away, no problem, no time delays. I don't need to connect to iCloud, download from iCloud, all that kind of nonsense. That honestly is one of my favorite things. So that being said, I came across problems when I was trying to frame up. It would flip between the lenses. So as I'm trying to frame my shot and focus on the subject, it would pick between the 3 lenses on the back of the phone, and I didn't really have control over that, and it would just move my frame. It would flick back and forth, back and forth. And this become a little bit frustrating at times when you're trying to get those intricate shots and you want to frame it in a particular way. However, when you press record, you don't get the flicking around like when you're trying to frame your shot. It's also worth noting that when you shoot in Apple Log, your footage appears grainier than when you shoot in the standard mode, even when you apply Apple's official Rec 709 LUT. You can see the difference in noise levels, color, and exposure is slightly different. This is because when you shoot in Apple Log, it tries to maintain as much information as possible in the shadows and the highlights. Therefore, you do get more noise because there isn't as much image processing. Whereas in the standard shooting mode, it doesn't expect you to do any color grading. So there's denoising, sharpening, and color correction going on live in the phone. One thing I did find slightly disappointing is that you can't shoot in Apple ProRes RAW without third-party apps. So the normal camera app, it's not an option. You can shoot in Log ProRes, but you can't shoot in RAW. And you also need an external SSD attached to the phone to be able to do so. Personally, I wouldn't shoot anything that you need fine control over without the Blackmagic camera app. The normal native app just doesn't give you that level of control you need. You have some control, like a little bit of exposure, but Apple is constantly changing the exposure in the background of your image, which you completely can't control. What did I think about the FX3? Well, clearly the depth of field information is just much better. It looks nicer, more natural, and it performed in low light incredibly well. And because the iPhone has multiple lenses, I also use multiple lenses on the FX3. So I used a 24-70, a 70-200, and a 16-35. And that just covered all bases for any shots I needed. And I think that's great with DSLRs where you can change a lens. There's so many lenses on the market, you can fit the camera to your own creative needs and vision. Whereas with the iPhone 17 Pro, you're kind of limited to what you have on the phone. The one thing I will say with the FX3 is that shooting just took longer than it did on the phone. I have to change lenses, SD cards, it weighs more, I need more kit to be able to do certain things, and you just don't get that with the iPhone. So, who won the battle? And on this one, I'm gonna have to give it to the FX3. Now, the reason I'm giving it to the FX3 is I think performance in low light was just absolutely incredible. It held up so well. And there was just a few things with the iPhone that I had to deal with that I didn't have to with the FX3. The only thing with the FX3 is that it did take longer, it does require a bit more kit, and clearly, obviously, some more budget. And so, depending on your personal needs and what you're doing, there's certain cases I would use the iPhone 17 Pro, and there's others I'd use the FX3. What would I recommend to other creators? Personally, I think your phone is enough. I really do. It's quick, it's easy, you can be shooting in minutes, you don't have to worry about tons of kit. If you want the extra control, you can shoot in RAW. That you have the full flexibility, and not only that, it's a phone and everything else you need. But if you do have extra budget and time, a professional setup with the FX3 is probably the way to go. I'm just going to assume no one's watching at this point, but thank you very much if you still are. Please consider subscribing. Until next time, see you then.